Hey, how's it going, everybody? So every so often I'll go and do one of these monitor reviews because I'll get a new monitor, and you might as well review it because not everybody's review is exactly the same. Everybody's looking at different things that are relevant to them. So for my review, I'm going to be talking about the Samsung Ark. So the Odyssey Ark. So the Samsung Odyssey Ark is a 55-inch screen. It's absolutely massive. I don't know, is this whole thing? Yeah, this whole thing is in view, but I'm like a 6 foot, 200 pound person, and this is the scale of it. It's pretty big. When I'm looking at it, it's very similar to the Aorus that I have reviewed in the past. I also have another review coming up of a very good monitor from Asus. That I've also have it to compare with, and I'll be adding some of that information to this video. But with this monitor, the things that I'm going to be reviewing with this video is going to primarily be, is it good for productivity, and is it good for gaming, and kind of my experience with those things. So I'm a software developer. I pretty much sit on my computer most of the day looking at text. When I'm not looking at text, I'm looking at different colored websites or applications, or just staring at a terminal. So a lot of different spectrum of things there, I suppose. I haven't done anything with color grading or anything like that, so that's not going to be in this video. You can probably go watch somebody else's video for that. But in this video, I'm just going to talk about actual legibility of the text. And I'm also going to talk about frame rates and skipping and stuttering and all that kind of stuff. So right now behind me, I'm going to get into it right now. So right now behind me, we have Diablo 4 running. So Diablo 4 is kind of the primary reason I wanted to get this monitor. I was previously using a Asus with a couple of Dells on portrait mode, just so I could have like nice coding windows and website windows and all that kind of stuff. But this is the primary reason why I got this. I wanted to be able to fully enjoy everything that this game has to offer, and I did test out a couple of 4K screens, 42-inch 4K screens, and it was like a super wide viewing that I was able to have in the game. So yeah, anyway, I tested it out in this game, and it's absolutely amazing. There's nothing, no other monitor is like this one, and unless you have a VR headset on, you're not going to get the same experience. So as opposed to some of the other ultra wides, like even the Samsung, was it G9 or Neo or whatever it is, it's like it's a 49-inch screen. It's super wide, but it's not tall. So this one's tall and wide. So it's not as wide as the Neo, obviously, because I think it's diagonally measured. But either way, though, if you get your seat at the right level, your head is going to be right in the middle of the screen if you got it right, and that's going to give you you're going to be completely immersed. From the sides you're going to be immersed, from the top you're going to be immersed, the bottom, as long as you're like about 80 centimeters, what they are claiming is the best viewing distance, then you're going to be able to see just your game. That's it. So it's pretty awesome, and I've had only small hiccups with the wrong HDMI cable. It's like the wild west with HDMI cables. You never know which ones are good, so usually I try to use the ones that are that come with the actual monitor. So at first I was using another one, a super long one that I have, because my computer was like really far away, but I ended up moving it closer using the cable provided by Samsung. It worked great. So it comes with this little box, and I've heard a lot of people say things. So as far as this monitor goes, there is this little box that comes along with it. Now this little box it gets really hot, actually. Not like burning hot to the touch, but it does get pretty warm. This monitor also gets pretty warm. It's not I don't think it's anything to worry about for most people, but if you're in a really hot climate, you don't have air conditioner or something like that, you might be worried about it. It has a light on the back, and so far I haven't been able to get that to work with a game. So like as you can see in Diablo 4 right here, it's actually red, but the light is kind of showing as blue. I'm not sure if you can see that off of my hand or something, but it's like a light teal blue or whatever. So far I haven't been able to get that to work. I assume it works. I'll probably test it out later just to double check. But so far, for gaming, it's amazing. Now, productivity. When I first got it, again, like I said, I was using the wrong cable. And the text was kind of blurry. And I think other people have had that same problem. But if you use the HDMI cable that's provided by Samsung, the text looks fine. It looks crystal clear. There's no problems. I know some people were saying the pixels per inch is kind of small, and I would like to see Samsung maybe bump it up to 5K for this big of a screen. But one of the nice things about it is in game, at this size, the elements inside the game, the proportions look really good. So that's not something that I can say on my 42-inch that I was testing on with this game. It kind of gave you a pulled back perspective, a more of a pulled back perspective. In my opinion, it kind of looked a little different. And I was using two 4K 42-inch screens, so obviously that's going to be a little bit different. There's like 13 inches you're going to be missing altogether compared to this. But you know, resolutions, pixels per inch, that doesn't really affect it. I'm just saying like the appearance of it because of the height and everything. So anyway, as far as the specs are 4K. You can go up to like 163.99 hertz or something like that. Basically 160 hertz. It's insanely fast. If you're using DLSS with this game, Diablo 4, you're going to be able to get, well, I'm using two 3090s in SLI, and I'm getting, you know, max frame rates. It's maxed out. It can't go any higher than what the monitor is able to provide with G-Sync and DLSS at quality. So yeah, this is a great monitor for this game. As you can see, I'm going to sit here now and kind of give you a perspective as if you were, you know, me, so you can kind of get an idea. I usually sit straight up, feet on the ground, and keep my head straight, and I can adjust this chair, and I did a review on this chair before, but yeah, as you can see, my head lands like right in the middle when this is pushed all the way down. So it's the perfect immersion. And if you're actually leaned in like you would be playing normally, it's fully immersed. You can pretty much only see the game. And I'll usually turn the lights off, and it's awesome. It's awesome like this. It's a great experience. And so far, I don't know, I've heard some people having some problems with looking left or looking right on the screen. And I mean, I can show something like that. So I'll just go ahead and exit this game and give it a minute. I haven't really tried it in cockpit mode, or, you know, turning it height wise, just because I don't really need it. I didn't really want it for that. But I mean, as you can see, I'm using Power Toys. So with Power Toys, when you're dragging a window, you can put it to whatever section you want. I'm only using Windows 10 on this computer because this is a 1950X Threadripper. But as you can see with Power Toys, you can put this window anywhere you want, and yeah, so it gives you plenty of real estate in order to do whatever you need to do. And I mean, you can, you know, put other stuff other places. My little media player, I installed Windows Media Player, so that's Windows Media Player. I have some nice piano music going. And if I was, you know, gonna launch some other app, obviously I would not launch these apps. I'd be having VS Code open and maybe like a web browser, dev tools, or something like that. And but yeah, you get the idea. I'll just open up another window here, and this is with 3 windows open. So I'll just run H-top. Let me pause that. So yeah, as you can see, H-top running right here, and this is fairly large. I have pretty long paths in this H-top session, and I can see, you know, most of the path. I have BattleNet right here, which is, you know, the equivalent probably of a little more than a 1080p screen. And I have another Windows Media Player right here. And over here I have some weather reports. It's going to be a hot one today, 87 degrees. Hot for over here anyway. And yeah, so this gives you plenty of real estate. And as long as you have your height adjustment right, it's going to be fine. You're not going to have to turn your head too much. I mean, if I'm sitting my head just like this, I've done this demonstration before, but if I'm sitting my head just like this, I only have to move my eyes. I maybe have to move my head ever so slightly. I don't really have to move my head, just move my body just a teensy wee bit. So it's not even really that bad. One of the bad things about this monitor is it does have a little bit more wiggle than I would have liked. It does. The stand is massive. It's a heavy stand. I think this monitor is like 125 pounds shipped or something like that with the box and everything. That's the FedEx guy told me. And yeah, it's even though it is massive, the stand still makes it so it still wobbles a little bit. So if you bump your desk, it's gonna kind of wobble just a little bit. And that is one kind of downside. I really hate that about this monitor. So far, it's been one of the few things I hate. One of the other things I really don't like is the fact that it has the smart hub. I would have preferred if this was just a straight monitor rather than, you know, a smart hub and it has all this Tizen stuff. As soon as you launch the device, it basically wants to be able to mine all your data. So it wants you to accept the terms of service and policy stuff and all this kind of thing. And as a privacy conscious person, I don't see any benefit to doing that, just on principle. Even if I don't have anything I'm hiding, I really don't. But yeah, I just don't see any reason to do it. So in order to even get the multi-view, you have to actually agree to their privacy policy, their terms of service and all that. So they essentially won't even let me use the multi-monitor view unless I agree to give them whatever information they're seeking. I haven't spent the time reading their entire terms of service and privacy policy. I'm assuming it's all the normal stuff that all other companies do. We're going to collect whatever the hell we want. We're going to scan all your networks and all your devices and figure out your location and do whatever we want with the information. That's what I'm assuming. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's more innocuous. Maybe it's just like we want to be able to get bug reports on what happens. Maybe I'll provide an update on that. But for me, I'm just using this as a monitor. I don't care about any of the smart features. I don't need any services. I don't watch any Netflix or anything like that. So that's fine. I will talk about these two remotes. So it comes with 2 remotes, which is a little strange. I don't understand why it comes with 2 remotes. And even when you bring up the menu, I'll bring up the menu like this. There we go. So it would look like this dial would do something, but this dial doesn't actually do anything. You have to click these arrows to move it over. And you have to actually point it at the device. So like if I go over here, it's not doing anything. But I point it over here, it's doing something. It's really, really weird. I imagine this is like using IR. It's really low powered. They have this little solar cell right here. But to me, something like this thing looks massive, like a massive brick. This should be using like a 2.4 gigahertz kind of dongle style thing that just communicates over, so it doesn't have to literally be pointing at the device. Seems kind of weird. But with that said, you're probably going to have this thing just sitting next to it anyway, so not that big of a deal. But this is weird. You see, the dial does nothing. And so far, I haven't really found out what this is used for, because again, I'm not accepting their privacy policy stuff. So, but multi-view, I'll click on multi-view, and as you can see, it wants you to set it up. I mean, I don't know what there is to set up, but it's just they want you to accept their privacy policy. So I'll go back out of that, open up this thing again. Takes a minute. There we go. So they got multi-view, they have a game bar. You can check out the game bar. And this allows you to control some of the other features. We have the eclipse lighting. We have active ambient. We have mini-map zoom. We have screen ratio. We have game picture mode. We have response time. Now I've tried out the HDR, and it actually is, it's really dimming and really bright, and I have an OLED, and this is not OLED. And this just has like a ton of dimming zones, and it's pretty good. I mean, I won't say it's as good as OLED, but it's pretty good. So we can go to this eclipse lighting, and right now it's on. See if I turn it off, get out of there. So I can't use, this feature is available when the screen is scaled down. So ambient, active travel, whatever the heck that is not there. So custom, and when you use the eclipse lighting, the custom, it just takes you to the screen, and you can select a different color. I can turn it on and set to static. And since I'm using Eclipse Sync, it's supposed to sync it with something. I don't know if I need additional software on my computer, or if it's that privacy policy again. I need to accept their privacy policy or something in order to get it working. I might end up doing it anyway. I don't know. So other than that, it doesn't look like much else is controllable in this menu. You have the game settings. I'm not allowed to go into this VRR thing or the FPS or anything like that, but right now it's saying 165 FPS. So right now game mode is set to auto. I have noticed quite a big shift in the default settings if you switch game to on versus off. If you turn game mode off, it gets so much brighter. Like, I'll just show you. So this is with game mode off. So it's, as you can see, game mode is off. It's more of like a subdued color tone. It's much less bright. If I turn it back on, it has HDR on now. So it's kind of hard to see with the camera, but I'm noticing that the reds are much more vivid and different aspects of the screen are much more vivid. Let me see here. And now I can change the picture mode because it's in game mode. So I can have RPG, which kind of brightens everything up. All the dark elements aren't as dark as versus standard mode. RTS doesn't seem to have much of a difference. FPS again seems the same. Sports seems a little darker. And custom, I think custom is the one that I set up before, but you can even go and push the right arrow to go into it. I know a lot of people said the menu settings in this are kind of bad, and you know it could be better for input switching and things like that, but it's not that terrible. You can change the response time. They have three different response times. They have standard, faster, and extreme. So I'm just going to leave it on extreme. I haven't noticed any bad effects from doing that, so I'm just going to keep on doing that. So they have a dynamic black equalizer. I've played with that a little bit, but I'm not really noticing much of a benefit from turning it all the way up to 5. It just kind of seems to make the screen brighter, with kind of makes everything look washed out. HDR tone mapping, HDR 10 plus for gaming, game HDR is what they got in here. They have quite a few different options in here. So they have some intelligent sound. Oh yeah, that's one thing I haven't really talked about is the sound. The sound is actually really nice. It's got really nice bass, especially for a monitor. Usually, I mean, I don't even think most TVs sound this good. Like I have a Sony that I have upstairs in my living room, and it's not as bright as this. I mean, not as loud as this one. It doesn't have as deep a bass. It still has a really loud volume, but the bass isn't as deep as this. So this is definitely really nice sound. They did a good job on it. I have it. I mean, most of the things that I've listened to is classical, country, and maybe YouTube videos and things like that. So that's my sound preference. That's what I listen to. It sounds great with those things. So just keep that in mind. I'm not listening to any super bumping music or anything. Let's go back to game settings. So let's go into picture. So they do have eye care. If you want eye care, there's eye care in this. It has adaptive picture. And then you can get into the expert settings. Expert settings lets you, control all the normal stuff that's usually here. Brightness, contrast, sharpness, color, tint, blah, blah, blah. It's got a bunch of stuff. White balance, local dimming. So if you want to have really nice dimming, this is what I was talking about making it more like OLED. I believe this is the aspect that helps with the dimming in those isolated areas, especially around blacks. So this has a whole bunch of stuff that I personally had never played with. I mean, when I got it, I was putting through its paces, trying stuff out. So VRR control, I can turn this on. So far, I've had it off, and it's been running great. I haven't noticed any tearing. I haven't had any problems. But I'll go ahead and just turn it on for you guys. And there we go, it's on. So I'm gonna just get out of this now. We can get back into the game. Make sure it's in game mode. And it is. It still says VRR is off right here, even though I just turned it on. I'm not sure if this just has to be reloaded. I'll try it again just to make sure. I'll go back to the game bar, and it still says VRR is off, so maybe it's waiting for me to launch a game. I know sometimes that's how NVIDIA's drivers work for Windows. So it's looking like it's instructing you on how to open the game bar if you wanted to. You can do it also with the remote control. The remote control does have a nice little settings button. Sometimes I use it. So far, I've been able to use the dial too. You can click this little square right here on this remote, and it will show you the different devices. And if you click down, you can change the name of this. If you don't want it to just say PC, if you have multiple PCs, you can change the name of them. Say whatever you want. Obviously, if you plug multiple things in for the very first time you get the display, you're going to be confused, so I'll just do it one by one. One thing I didn't mention, it does have really nice cable routing hole in the back, and so all my cables are routed from the back down through the loop here, and so my desk has like a nice, really clean look. I got some USB cables over here for phones and stuff, but as far as the monitor goes, it's really clean wiring. But anyway, you can go to your connected devices up here. It's in like big bold letters right here. It says connected devices, and you can go to your smart things. You can go to different sources right here. Click down if you have different sources. But I only have one thing, so that's all I get. But it does show USB and mobile camera. So this is one of the things that, again, I haven't tried everything on here. You have TV access, connection guide, and universal remote setup. So they do have quite a bunch of different things. And I'm not going to get into all of that stuff here, but I did want to just showcase the playing of the games with this monitor and kind of how it looks, how it sounds. So let's do that. I'll just go over to Diablo 4. We'll launch this real quick. Close that out. So for this game mode, I'm going to turn off the lights. So you're only going to be able to see the monitor. So you're going to be able to hear my voice, I think, but you're probably not going to be able to see me except for my head shadow or something like that. But maybe a little bit of a reflection. So here's in game. Here's what it's looking like. I'm seeing a little bit of flicker. There's absolutely no flicker on this. The colors, really, really vibrant. The blacks and the darks, they look really good. The only thing that I could say that seems a little strange, this might just be a DLSS setting, but I've noticed the fur looks really fuzzy and weird. And let me just play with that real fast, and we'll turn off DLSS and see what happens. So yeah, I turned off DLSS. I'm still seeing the same thing. I'm thinking that I don't know, I didn't see that on my OLED, so I'm gonna say it might be from this monitor, but I'm gonna have to do more testing to be sure of that. That's with DLSS off. I'll turn it back on quality and see if there's any other setting which I could change. We'll change that. So I have everything set to ultra. So I don't know if this was an update to the game prior to me using the other monitor, but I'm going to do a side-by-side picture comparison, and I'll put the link in the description so you guys can kind of see what I'm seeing. That's probably the only thing that I've noticed visually that seems different, but again, I'm going to do a picture just to see if that's actually the case. So maybe I'm just misremembering. We'll go into the game. So I don't have any FPS counter on this. I could load an FPS counter. And one of the things that's a little bit different when you're playing on a curved monitor versus a flat monitor is there is a little bit of curvature. And when you're moving, when you first get the monitor, it's kind of like, oh, whoa, that's weird. I've never seen that before. But after you start using it, you don't even recognize it and you get really engrossed in the game. So I previously was playing on two 42-inch Asus PQRU42 whatever, I don't know. I'll put the link in the description to the exact model number. I don't remember it. But before, when I was doing it, it was just all straight, so I didn't get any of that kind of weird curvature. But once you get into it, it looks really good. So we'll just go into here. I can turn this a little bit there. So right now VRR is set to on, and I'm still noticing a little bit of weird artifacts by fur. I don't know if that's just Diablo or the monitor, but the colors are really vivid. And I think that's partially due to the brightness. This monitor has a really high brightness, especially compared to other OLEDs that are afraid of burning.
These vermin imagine they can take.
And that's one of the things that I don't like about OLED. The chance that my monitor, after using it for whatever the manufacturer's warranty wears off after a year, it's kind of worries me, you know. At least with this, it's not like planned obsolescence, like, oh yeah, they're just going to ruin the monitors after a year. I don't think they're going to do that, because then nobody would want to buy their products in the future. But it relieves a little bit of worry. I can leave this monitor on. I can have a screensaver going. I don't have to worry about it. It's not going to dim when I'm using it, which is one of the things that a lot of the OLEDs did, is they'll actually dim. So having the best of both worlds would be kind of nice. So far we have shadows over here, and the shadows, they look good. This game, I don't think it's as graphically intense as some games, but it definitely looks better like this on this screen. And I can turn HDR on. I turn it off just because I feel like the colors are more vibrant with it off from the game, but still on Windows. But let's see. So yeah, after I turn HDR on, all the bright, vibrant colors from the game kind of go away. So I haven't done any investigating on this. I'm going to leave you up to your own devices to figure out whether or not that's something that's important to you, but I figured I'd mention it. So as I'm moving around, the vibrancy of my character's clothing has remained, and there's actually like there's more vibrance on the clothing, and some of the creatures that were in here, like this little worm slug thing, its vibrancy has kind of gone away. So I'm not sure if maybe that's the way the game developers intended it to be. So maybe the vibrancy is only in the places where they actually wanted it with the HDR tone mapping. I'm not really sure, but things do seem darker now, grimmer. And the shadows over here are much darker than they were before. Is it going to be different with HDR on the OLED? I will be able to do a test and let you know for sure. If I get a chance, I'll also include a picture of that.
Oh, the vermin have bled enough. There is a small cave nearby where your final test awaits.
So as you can see, the lighting for the monitor kind of turned on for a moment, and it looks like it keeps on turning on, but it's not actually syncing to the game, I don't think. So I'll just move out of this zone, and I can kind of see I have a flag up here with a little white portion in the flag, and the reflection from the flag is showing me the color of the light. You can also kind of see it down here. And there's pretty much no blue in this picture except for right down here, and it's seeming to me like the light is more blue. I don't know if I can go into some other place that has different lighting. Maybe right here. It does kind of look like the light's changing a little bit. Yeah. It's not super bright. I don't know how much this is going to affect my gameplay. Sorry about that, my camera just stopped. So I was just saying, I don't know if the lighting would be better if it was on the sides and further out. Would have been more dramatic maybe, but honestly, I can't see this really adding much to my gaming experience. I think it might be better if it was just off entirely, but you know, hey, to each their own. I mean, it might even be good to just turn all the lights off so you see nothing but this. But I'll go to a different area and see how that does. Should probably have gone to like snowy area or something, but we'll see. So it's definitely showing a bit more blues here in this area. Still not getting any kind of red or anything like that. Go to another area just to get a good test for this lighting. So this area shows up red on the mini-map, but it's not very red. There's like kind of like red everywhere on this map, but I'm not really noticing that the light's changing to red. So again, maybe it's one of those things that's just not set up right, but I won't spend any more time on this. I'm gonna go turn on the lights and I'll give you kind of the closing words on this. So, as you can see, I turn on the lights and it's not as bright as it was in game mode, obviously because it has the different dimming and tone mapping and all that stuff going on. But as you can see on the sword in his back, it's very vibrant and red, but then all the other reds aren't the same as it was before prior to turning H2. So, yeah, there you go. I'm gonna leave this game now. And so, closing words. Would I buy this monitor if I was doing productivity? Yes. Would I buy this monitor if I was gaming? Absolutely. Would I buy this monitor if I was a video editor? Yes. Would I buy this monitor if I was doing Excel, spreadsheets? Yes. I can't really think of a situation where you wouldn't want one of these monitors, especially with power toys, I mean, and the ability to, you know, drag and drop your window and just have it be the exact size that you want. You can create your own template, you can create your own size, whatever you want to do. So, yeah, I mean, having multiple monitors is not really important anymore, in my opinion, especially with really awesome monitors like this. I watched some other videos of like Linus, for example, talking about this, how he thought it was just going to be a tech demo, and I can see why. It does seem kind of far out there, but I always talked about why are the ultra wides always cutting off the top and the bottom? Why don't they just leave it on? And they did it. They left it on finally. We have a nice curved monitor. They have the top and the bottom. It still can be 16:9. If you want to have the black bars, you still can. Personally, I don't. I still want to be immersed on the top and the bottom too, not just on my peripheral. I want to be immersed, you know, looking up and down a little bit and left and right. And playing a game like Diablo 4 is a great example of that, because, man, they have so much going on in some of these open world, even in the dungeons. Well, they'll have, you know, all this artwork that you don't get to see if you're playing on a very, I guess, low resolution, non-ultra wide monitor, I guess. I think, yeah, that'll about do it. I don't really know of anything else I could possibly tell you other than this has Tizen. That's what other people have said. I haven't even played with it because I don't care about it. I don't want to use any of their apps. But I can show you the remote again. It has a few different services on here that I don't use and don't care to mention. And they have, you know, play button, back button, volume controls, what I assume is like a channel control, and a way to have multi-windows, and they even have like a little microphone on here. So I'm guessing maybe that's what they're doing for the privacy policy. I don't know. Maybe I'll give you an update. Maybe I'll go to LegalZoom and ask somebody else with a legal degree to read it for me, but I'm not going to do it. It seems like a waste of time. But anyway, I'm going to leave that review here with you guys. I hope you liked the review. Please like, please subscribe. Let me know how I did. And I'll leave a link in the description if you want to buy this monitor. It's only $2,000 now. It used to be $3,500, and it's definitely worth it. The only downside that I would say is I would have liked to see them have this screen be at this size 5K. I think at this size 5K would have been perfect, and I think most games would have been able to, or most GPUs would have been able, most GPUs for people that are buying $2,000 monitors are going to be able to afford the GPU upgrade, I guess. And it's going to be able to push over 60 like what this monitor is intended to be able to do. And so that's pretty much my only downside. I would have said that they should have done that. As far as some of the other complaints that I've read personally when I was deciding to get this or not, is text legibility, which has been, like I said, if you have the wrong HDMI cable, it's going to look really bad. I don't know why, no idea, but something in some HDMI cables just makes the text look bad. I changed the HDMI cable to the one provided by Samsung. Looks great. Yeah, the pixels per inch really would have been great for 5K. 5K would have been sweet. And I don't know if they can get the blacks any blacker, if they can like somehow match OLED, but that obviously would have been, you know, a plus without the downsides of OLED. Yeah, I'm gonna leave that with you guys. Please like and subscribe, like I said, and I'll catch you in the next video. Later.